Hello everyone and welcome to this week's commentary. I've decided to translate and use the commentaries that were found in the Deception book, which is a free ebook that is available on the World Scientific Federation Federation website. There are 12 games there, and the commentaries are very nice, very useful. And if you go through these commentaries and also the contents of the book, your understanding of the Xiangqi opening will improve greatly. Now for the first spot, this would be red would be Master Zhang Ruyi from Beijing, the late Master Zhang Ruyi, who was very critically acclaimed. He was from Hebei but went to Beijing. So without further ado, let's start. Black was another Xiangqi expert, Guo Changsun, Master Guo Changsun. Okay, central cannon, same direction cannons, and red chose to play the foul chariot variation. Now black chose to play the deferred chariot variation, or usually when red plays r1 equals to 2, black will continue with r9 plus 1 for the rank chariot variation. With the deferred chariot variation, black would slow the development of this chariot, while he would limit the development of this horse. Now black will counter with p7 plus 1. And in this match, Master Guo Changsun played r9 equals to r9 plus 1, which can sometimes be considered to be an awkward approach to the match. Because according to the book, Master Zhang Qiang and Grandmaster Zhang Qiang and Master Wenqing, when you play p3 plus 1, it will be a better idea for you to continue with c2 plus 4 or h2 plus 3. Now, this would justify playing the deferred chariot variation, as black would try to develop his right flank. Now, playing the rank chariot variation at this point was considered awkward by them. But even so, red cannot let his guard down. Now, one of the major motives of playing this move is that black would not be prepared to play r9 equals to 3. Push the pawns first, then r9 equals to 3 to trade material, and then try to command this file. So in the match, Master Zhang Ruyi had a very acute sense of the board, and he played 2 plus 4 to patrol the riverbank. Now, he can sometimes it will be habitual for players to play c8 h8 plus 7, but black would immediately trade pawns and now threaten to storm this file, and his right flank will be developed, and black would have and red would now face a lot of pressure on this flank. So black has a chance to fight for the initiative, and there are many technical combinations that will lead to various very complicated situations. So with r2 plus 4, black will be denied the option of playing p3 plus 1. So, and since the red chariot had moved, black would advance his right cannon to the pawn rank to attack this pawn. Now, this move also contains an element of surprise, an element of deception. By advancing the cannon, it is quite obvious, fairly obvious for black to play c2 equals to 7 to capture the pawn. And this would actually encourage red to play p3 plus 1 to trade pawns and develop his horse. But this would not be a good idea, because if red played p3 plus 1, red will simply retreat his cannon, and let's say be prepared to push the pawn forward. If this will lead to a complicated situation. Now, if red played h8 plus 7, there will be two sub-variations that are possible, and they were discussed in the book. The first would be p7 plus 1, and the other will be c2 equals to 7. In the p7 plus 1 sub-variation, red would move his chariot out of harm's way, and black will retreat. And after a few, just a 10, at the 10th ply, red would have a huge advantage because not only has the pawn, the black pawn which had made two moves, been eliminated, only the left chariot is not developed at this moment. Red would have developed these four major pieces, and the cannon will now be ready to go too. And there are many tactical combinations. So p7 plus 1 is not a good idea. What about c2 equals to 7? Now, if c2 equals 7 were played, the elephant would be moved out of harm's way and also actually attack the cannon, forcing the cannon to advance. And red would take the opportunity to charge his horse to the riverbank. And red would have an advantage after these few rounds because now he will be threatening to push his pawn forward to gain material. So behind this move, if black was trying to encourage red to play this, but this, from the way the variations went, this will not be a good idea. So however, in the book, red decided to play h8 plus 7, but this was actually the move that black had hoped red would play. Instead, as mentioned, red should have gone boldly with p3 plus 1. So if h8 plus 7 were played, black would now capture the pawn, attack the elephant, forcing the elephant to the edge. And since black was successful initially in his first attempt, he immediately developed his right chariot also as a rank chariot, linking the chariots up, and now black will be prepared to fight for control of the important lines, most in this case the 4th and 6th files. And black has a satisfactory opening up till now. Now red would play h7 plus 8, threatening the horse. And perhaps red has just lost the initiative. Here his cycle is affected, and this move was considered to be a very brash move. Instead, r9 equals to 8 should have been played, as red would patiently wait for the opportunity to create a tenable situation. However, in the match, since h7 plus 8 was played, the central file will now be weakened. Black would now threaten to trade material, and red refused the trade. Now, would R2 plus 4 be a good idea? No, because black would simply gain back lost material. This horse would be pseudo sacrificed, and at this point in time, we can see that black would now be attacking, applying pressure on this flank, and also the chariot would now be attacking the cannon. So red would lose back a piece. So that is why trading chariots is not a good idea, and red chose to play r2 equals to 1 for the time being. Black would have seized quite a significant advantage by this point. Black would now move the horse to safety, and black would try to counter with p9 plus 1 to try to gain some initiative. Now, the red rank chariot will now protect this third rank, which is very important, because if black were allowed to move his chariots to this third rank, red would be under a lot of pressure. Now, this is also a very important move. Now, red cannot and should not continue with p9 plus 1 as planned, because once the black chariot were able to reach the third rank, black would prepare to sacrifice material. He would have concentrated 1, 2, 3, 4 major pieces on this flank. So by sacrificing the horse, black would now be prepared to storm this flank, and black would have a significant advantage. So R9 plus 1 was a prophylactic move by red. Black continued to attack aggressively with R4 plus 6, forcing the cannon to move. And at this point in time, black made a blunder with P9 plus 1 because this will actually expose the flaws in black's formation. Instead, R8 equals to 4 would have been advocated, whereby black would now threaten to checkmate, forcing the advisor away, and by trading the chariots, we can see that black would have a very open position, but black would have a very close situation. So black would forcefully command the cross riverbank rank. The horse will not have any good place to go. Cannot capture the. If you capture the pawn, this would be a trade of material, but again, the chariot would be present to harass any horse, etc. So black would have the initiative. Unfortunately, in the match, Master Guo Changsun made a blunder with P9 plus 1, which red accepted immediately. Now with R1 plus 1, black was now ready to go for R1 equals to 3 for the fork. Black tried to salvage the situation. And again, it will be red tried to harass the chariot, but this was another wasted opportunity. Instead, red could have gone for the fork. So once the fork was applied, after trading material, at this point in time there will be two sub-variations. If black continued to capture material, and at this point in time we can see that this chariot is relatively closed, and so would this chariot be. While red will now threaten to capture the elephant, and once the chariot moved away, this horse will be ready to go to attack. And also, this black central pawn is also under attack, so red would have a clear advantage. Now, we backtrack a little bit. Red should have applied a fork. And at this point in time, if black tried to move his cannon from harm's way, again, red will simply sacrifice this flank and concentrate his material attacking this flank and have a considerable advantage. So that is why this was this move was a wasted opportunity. So black's turn to move. He retreats the chariot to the riverbank rank to prevent R1 equals to 3. And red will now attack with his horse, protecting the horse. Prophylactic move to fortify the central file. And red will now retreat his chariot. Now this was a very nice move because, as can be seen, black's right flank was under a lot of pressure. Now there are some possible tactical combinations, but to set this up, R1 minus 1 will be the key move. So at this point in time, black tried to adjust his formation to a more stable one, but this move was simply unnecessary. Now, since red was already attacking this flank, moving the cannon here will actually result in placing the cannon in the horse's scope. So this would not be a good idea. Instead, R1 minus 2 would have been a better move. Say R9 plus 4, R9 plus 3, sorry. And black will use the cannon to try to form a pin or a skewer and sacrifice his pawn, thereby linking his chariots. And this will be the move whereby red would offer a trade of material, and as can be seen, the black pieces will now black would have stuck a cannon to the bot corner and be attacking. So black would have the upper hand in this situation. So that is why r1 minus 2 would have been a better move instead of c5 equals to 3. Now red also tried to adjust his formation, and on the surface black, it will appear that black had already fortified his position and was ready to confront red in the mid game. However, uh, black did not understand or see the hidden agenda behind red's c5 equals to 6. Now this was a very brilliant move, as we will see very soon. So again, red continues to consolidate his defense and tries to move the horse to safety. And it was at this time that black started to play very aggressively. Now, advancing the pawn was a brilliant move, because if black pushed the pawn, black would lose the cannon. And red would now be prepared to play p9 equals to 8 to link the pawns up. So black was forced to play to capture the pawn in this manner. Now, r3 plus 2 would not be viable either, because black would now retreat the horse, attacking the chariot, and more importantly, red would now be prepared to play c equals to 7 to attack this chariot, and the chariot would have no place to go. So this red would have sacrificed the 2 pawns, but in return he would now be threatening to gain a chariot, and black would now be in all sorts of trouble. Now p3 plus 1 would not be a good idea either, because again p9 equals to 8 would be played, as this chariot is now the black chariot is now a target of attack. Now if black captured the pawn, red would simply capture the cannon, threatening the horse, and if black continued with this would be a fork. So black would be in all sorts of trouble. So p3 plus 1 is not viable, and that was why black captured the pawn with the chariot. And from here on, black's position was now in a mess, and red would grow from strength to strength. So, and red would now attack the chariot in this manner. Black tried to be aggressive and to gain some form of compensation, but the pressure on this flank is simply too great. Red will sacrifice material, threatening trade material, and again the black horse will now be captured. Black will concentrate material, and red applied a pin. Now this is a very powerful pin, because this chariot would now have stopped completely any possible attacks by black's chariot horse combination, while at the same time these 3 pieces will now be ready to attack. And seeing that there was nothing viable or feasible that could be done, black decided to resign, so giving red the victory. Now a short recap. A deferred chariot variation. Attempt by black to score a win, which red fell for, and black had achieved a very nice formation in the opening phase. A relatively not obvious blunder, but black countered very precisely. Again, black continued his attack, so far so good, and then suddenly black blundered terribly with p9 plus 1, which red accepted. And after this was a missed opportunity by red also. Instead of playing a4 plus 5, r1 equals to 3 would have been better. And Red will now start his attack on this flank, protecting the horse. Sorry, retreating the chariot. And another blunder by Black because as we saw in the results, this was not a very useful move. And a very nice move by Red, going for the cross palace cannon. And this will prepare for Black for many Red brilliant tactical combinations. So a brilliant sacrifice, and Black was forced to capture the pawn in this manner, which led to the eventual loss. So I hope you've enjoyed this week's short English commentary. This was given by Master Wenqing and Grandmaster Zhang in their book. It is a very, very good book, and I hope you enjoy it as I have done. If you like the work that I've been doing, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up. Thank you.